Diaz, Philadelphia. Welcome on into today's Sixers game recap. Hold up. Let me take a little bit of a sip of my new Sixers coffee mug. So sorry, but this one's coming a little bit later for all of us. Last night got done the last bit of my Christmas shopping. And in the midst of all that, I figured, well, why not take care of myself? And let me go get myself this nice little Sixers mug. Got this for $7 over at your local Marshalls. Dude, Marshalls is super clutch. If you are sleeping on Marshalls, get your ass to your local Marshalls. Great stuff here. I bought in Phillies, I bought in Flyers gear, and I needed more coffee mugs. All I have really as far as coffee mugs that kind of describe my personality, which I know that maybe Philly sports and sports in general shouldn't be my personality, but I figured, listen, I love these teams so much. I need the coffee mug. So we're starting off. We already have the Columbia National Team coffee mug, and now we're on to our Sixers mug. Hold on, let me get one more little. Oh, that's that good stuff. That's that good stuff. Welcome, everybody, to today's Sixers game recap as we discuss last night, Wednesday night's absolutely demolishing of the Detroit Pistons and a 20-point win, 113-93 victory. Look, we all know the Pistons suck. I don't think we need to reiterate the Pistons suck. They're going through somewhat of a rebuild. They're tanking for Wembanyama. No Cade Cunningham, which we saw last year. That dude is a baller, and he's going to be the face of the Pistons, hopefully for a decade, for their sake at least. But this was just a performance by the Sixers where, first off, the Pistons were coming off of a back-to-back, but the Sixers are also been feeling themselves. 5 straight wins at the Wells Fargo Center. They're going for their 6-1 on Wednesday night, and the Sixers have kind of found their rhythm coming back at home. Every single one of these games, they have dictated the pace of the game, and they have distributed the ball extremely well. The chemistry of this team is at the highest that it's ever been. And I don't want to be the one to say that I told you so, but yes, ladies and gentlemen, I told you so. It was going to take some time for the Sixers team to implement the new pieces that they've had. And oh, by the way, they have dealt with injuries to Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tobias Harris, and now Tyrese Maxey has been missing a significant amount of time, and yet these guys still have not missed a beat. These guys have still gotten each other's back. The ball movement has been spectacular, and everyone is starting to find their roles. Now, when Maxey comes back, you're going to have to implement him, and you're going to have to figure out how that chemistry will work. But I see guys like Tobias Harris, guys like DeAnthony Melton, guys like Georges Niang understanding their responsibilities and being able to provide that spacing out on the court. Someone like PJ Tucker, who continues to get criticized night in and night out. Look, the fact of the matter is you brought him in for a couple specific reasons. One of those reasons wasn't to provide you offensive power. He was here to do the dirty work. He's here to do the bang-up job, the clean-up job, the shit that nobody wants to do. The defense, the rebounding, the tough defensive assignments. Hanging out at the corners, knocking down those threes, running up and down those damn courts, looking like a fullback in soccer, covering all that space. And then you got, of course, Joel Embiid and James Harden, where the offense truly goes through both those guys. And I have seen a lot of offensive possessions going through both of those dudes. And right now, things are looking good against a lot of opponents. But I will say this, this is the Pistons. You can only take so much from this. But I think that what makes me feel so positive and so happy is that I'm seeing good things. I am seeing things that I need to be seeing, especially against a team like the Detroit Pistons. I know people still feel some type of way about the Raptors win. It should have gone in overtime, this and that. But the fact is, that's a well-coached team with some solid players. I mean, no superstars like we talk about, but some solid players. And you have what you have in your schedule. You just got to make sure you get the job done. I want to formally welcome everyone into today's Sixers game recap. Of course, I'm your boy, Parcero Philly, the night of all things sports and culture in the beautiful city of Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are live here on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe for more Philly sports. We are available wherever you stream podcasts as well, from Apple, Google, and Spotify. Find us under Oi in Philly Sports. Awesome stuff. All right, I'll be honest with you guys. The Pistons had no shot in this game. right from the jump. The Sixers defense was way too much to handle. And I don't think that fatigue was a problem here for the Pistons because this is still a really young team with a lot of young players, especially with the lineup. I think the oldest player is I always get all these guys misinterpreted. Is it Bogdanovich? Bogdanovich. That's what I'm going to go with. Bogdanovich. Bogdanovich is probably like their oldest player. So I just think that more so that the experience and the star power of the Sixers really what got the job done. But early on, what helped them get into their lead was the Sixers played good defense. I mean, whether it was playing in the Pistons zone or whether it was creating turnovers, which they did a lot, I think Matisse Thybulle 9 minutes had two steals and a block in 9 minutes in the first half, and he was a big anchor to leading the defense, and they were able to turn a lot of turnovers into points, and that was a big factor in as well. That was the jump start to bringing the big lead, and then you add on James Harden, and Joel Embiid actually he didn't score over 30 points. Another efficient night, but he really didn't have to take over this game. This was truly a thoroughly team effort. But you look at some of these team stats: 49 boards for the Sixers tonight, 3 more than the Pistons. 27 assists. Like we mentioned, the ball was moving, and that goes to show you how much that ball was moving, and that's what you want to see. When the Sixers have that good ball movement down, they are at their most dangerous, and that they have proved that time after time. 8 steals. They made 8 steals, had 7 blocks. They forced the Detroit Pistons to 22 turnovers. The Sixers only had 12. That, to me, the assists and the turnovers are most of this game. And by the way, you look at the fast break points here for the Sixers, 19 fast break points, 56 points into the paint. Those are honestly categories, if the Sixers are winning, that they're going to dominate in. They had 90% from the free throw line, 29% from a three. Really, as far as tonight, the only ones that really were providing any type of 3-point shooting for the Sixers, it was George Niang, Tobias Harris, DeAnthony Melton, and James Harden. George had 3 here tonight. George continues to shoot at a high clip, not knocking them down at a high clip, though, but that doesn't matter to me. Just keep shooting. Realistically, just keep shooting. If I get 3 out of those 11 shots, I'll honestly take those from George Niang, especially on a night like tonight. But even like DeAnthony Melton has struggled a little bit from a 3-point line, and he still knocked down 2. I mean, 5 threes from both those players. You're absolutely going to take that from those guys, and DeAnthony Melton has been really big here for the Sixers, especially in the absence of Tyrese Maxey. He does a little bit of everything. We talked about it before when it comes to the ball handling, the quick release. Even defensively, he's we talked about for a 6'5" guard, and in a league where guards are like 6'11" these days. But he handles his defensive assignments. He really does, and he does a really solid job with that. And, it raises the question. I think it was Kyle Newback who raised that question on Twitter, and it really got me thinking. Maxey comes back. Would we consider having Melton stay at the starting role and have Maxey come off the bench? I've talked about it last season after the James Harden deal. I felt like having Maxey coming off the bench was the best case scenario because if you guys remember, our bench was pretty thin. I mean, last year, let's be real, George Niang was our 6th man off the bench. It's not really conducive for winning. And I wanted Tyrese Maxey in there. But obviously when James Harden got here, him and Maxey had a chemistry kind of going, and it was really hard to kind of sit Maxey away from James Harden. But, I mean, if you look at at least especially the defensive ratings, when Maxey and Harden are out on the court together, it is not good. And backcourts, especially good backcourts, like you're thinking like the Phoenix Suns when healthy, the Golden State Warriors when healthy, like good backcourts in this league will torch them. I mean, I even look at the Miami Heat series. Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, Max Strus, like those dudes cooked the backcourt of the Sixers. And it wouldn't be too far-fetched. It wouldn't be crazy to start DeAnthony. I know this city's crazy about Tyrese Maxey, and I get it. But just think about it. Like, you do still need defense. And I really do think that does help. And it's funny, like, people go then, no. Well, now what you should actually do is start Harden, Maxey, Melton, Harris, and Joel. Dude, that's a very undersized lineup. And you still run into the problem. Maxey's not a prototypical wing player. Maxey can help lead the charge, especially on the quick breaks. That lineup just doesn't make sense, guys. I know you guys love Maxey, but that doesn't mean, like, I think this has to do with the whole NFL mindset that we have here in the city. Being a sixth man in basketball is not a bad thing. It really isn't. A lot of times, your sixth man gets more minutes than your fourth or fifth starter in your lineup. It is not a bad thing, guys. Stop making being the sixth man a negative thing. Tyrese Maxey coming off the bench could really help this team. Dude, think about it. You're going up against a lineup with Harden, Melton, Harris or Tucker, whatever, interchange in the front court with Joel Embiid as your center. Then you got Tyrese Maxey coming off your bench, Shake Milton coming off your bench, George Niang coming off. Come on, guys. You can't tell me that's not beneficial for this basketball team. I'm just saying. I'm just putting my 2 cents in there. I thought the front court did a really good job here today as well. Tobias, PJ, and Joel, how do we compare this? They were a dominant front line. Like a dominant front line here today. And look, they're going up against Isaiah Stewart, Bojan Bogdanovic. Bogdanovic is not a bruiser. Bogdanovic is a guy who, it's funny. Was it Dwayne Casey compared Bogdanovic to Dirk Nowitzki? Peja Stojakovic? Come on, bro. Don't do that. Don't do that. Another thing, too, is like, I hate in the NFL when we like to lump up all black quarterbacks as running quarterbacks. There have been white quarterbacks who have been running quarterbacks. And now you in basketball, you like to lump up every single Euro as a sharpshooter. Dude, there are black players who are sharpshooters. Stop doing that. Can we please stop just racially bunching up players with the same skill set? Because the fact is that the other races do have that skill set as well. So let's just please, can we stop that? Thank you. But regardless, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart. Well, by the way, Jalen is a Philly product. Shouts to Duren. Isaiah Stewart and Bojan Bogdanovic were absolutely no match for Tobias, Joel, and PJ Tucker. And I thought they did a really good job of manning that front court. PJ Tucker and Joel Embiid had 20 boards each. PJ had 5 offensive boards. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why you signed PJ Tucker. 5 offensive boards, getting those extra opportunities. Tobias had 2 of those. D'Anthony Melton had also 2 offensive boards. But that was the big one right there. Joel Embiid also added on 4 blocks. Joel Embiid did the little things here tonight. He really got the little things done. 22 points is not really like a typical Joel Embiid night, but 10 boards, 6 assists, 4 blocks. The little things. That's what you love to see from Joel Embiid, and continuing to dictate, telling guys where to go offensively, helping with that, drawing the double teams, getting guys open. That is why the ball movement is so crucial and so important for this basketball team, especially James Harden, who at this point of his career, he's looking to create for others. And I'm fine with that. I'm honestly fine with that. It's definitely been big. Even like guys off the bench like Montrezl Harrell, 9 minutes, provided 10 points. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 points for Mr. Montrezl Harrell. He was big, especially on the defensive end, being just kind of like a rim protector, getting some boards as well. Matisse Thybulle, like I mentioned in the first half, was very big. He really helped jumpstart the big lead that they had. The Sixers had as big as a 21-point lead in this game. And it was fun. It was fun to watch those guys having fun out there. They handled business. Excuse me. And you look and you watch after the game, It wasn't cockiness that I saw, but it was like they know their job, they know what they have to do, and they went out and executed and did what exactly they needed to do. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is something that I thoroughly love to see. This is a Pistons team that, like we mentioned, it's clear like they're trying to tank for the future. They're going for Wanyama. There is no No Cade Cunningham. And he's really the big key to it. It's also a roster with a bunch of just like cast-offs. Like Marvin Bagley is on this roster. Kevin Knox, believe it or not, is on the Detroit Pistons now. It is so funny. I remember when Kevin Knox came out the same year as Zaire Smith. And my buddy at the time, we were geeking out. Like once a week, I would go over his house. We would geek out on draft content. We were watching all the top prospects. I was a big Miles Bridges guy, which thank God we didn't draft actually. He was a very big Kevin Knox guy. And he felt like in today's NBA, which he was actually ahead of his time now I think about it, he's perfect. The athleticism, the shooting. And I'm like, I don't know, man. The Knicks kind of reached on. I think he was drafted 9th overall. And the rest is kind of history there. But he's on the Pistons. Sadiq Bey is like the one player. It's funny because they didn't even start him. He's the one player that kind of does provide some offense. I love his game, honestly. He's got a chip on his shoulder he kind of plays with. Our old friend Alec Burks is in there. They got Killian Hayes starting at point guard, which, shouts to Kate Scott calling it out. Killian Hayes should not be starting as a point guard. He's a good backup, like Kate Scott said. And Kate, don't hesitate on that. If that's what you feel, say it, girl. Say it. Jaden Ivey, I do think he's going to be a solid player. I really like his game. And it's just tough. I mean, Jaden Ivey had a career night the night prior, then has to play against the Philadelphia 76ers, and he's getting guarded by, like, DeAnthony Melton. And DeAnthony Melton just putting him in a damn pocket. But he still finished with 18 points, so a lot of garbage time minutes here for it. But, this was a game by, like, the beginning of the fourth quarter. It was essentially done. It was over. You could have turned it off. You could have watched the remaining of the Jim Gardner. Shouts out to Jim Gardner. We do need to show some love to our boy Jim Gardner. But, yeah. Paul Reed, it is what it is. You watch him during the game, he just looks kind of disinterested. And how, can you blame him? Honestly, can you blame him for that? He's going out there like hours before the game, getting his ass ready, doing what he needs to do, and then sits for an entire basketball game on the bench, and then comes in for the last minutes, and he's amped up. He's trying to prove to Doc that he should get some more minutes, and then he gets himself into 2 quick fouls. And it's like that's it for Paul Reed. I do feel for him. I really do hope the Sixers do try to part ways with him at the deadline. I want him to get an opportunity, and there's teams out there that will give him an opportunity, and so I think it's best case for both sides to kind of part ways here. I think Friday's going to be the really good test. You got the Clippers, and these guys, the Sixers now have won 6 in a row, and the Clippers are a solid team. And don't look now, but the Atlantic Division is really good. The Knicks won 6 straight before losing last night to the Raptors, and the Raptors are always a pesky team. The Nets have started to get things together. Kevin Durant is playing on a high level. And, of course, the Celtics have, I think, lost 3 straight, but still are a really good basketball team. So for the Atlantic Division, there's literally no room for shithousery. So Friday's going to be a good test against the Clippers. Obviously, we all know the history with the Clippers. Doc's former team, Tobias' former team, and we all remember the 24. Because I was planning on going to last night's game, and me and my girl decided we needed to be adults. We needed to get Christmas shopping done, and we wanted to go to the gym. And I really did wish I would have went down there. But Friday should be a fun one. And I reminded my girl, I was like, babe, remember the last time I went to the Sixers game? We allowed the Clippers to come back 24 points down in the fourth quarter to beat us. So a little bit bittersweet. I need to go back to the Sixers game. That's the gist of it. But guys, that's going to do it for today's Sixers game recap. Again, the Sixers taking it to the Detroit Pistons, winning 113-93. We will be back at it on Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning on into tonight's Sixers game recap. I am Parcero Philly, and I'm telling you guys, let's go Sixers. Talk to you guys soon.